and welcome. Good morning. I am deeply honored to be able to be communicating with you today, for this has been the culmination of my dreams and ambitions, to be able to unite you all today on one platform. So to my Indigenous brethren from all over the globe, from the various Indigenous tribes, I welcome you from the depths of my heart. And to you, my allies, entrepreneurs, investors, business people, visionaries, I am so happy that we're meeting here today at the crossroads of history. For believe it or not, it has been more than 500 years of oppression of Indigenous people that we're finally able to get together and to communicate our dreams to you without intermediaries, without people standing in the middle. So we're here to talk as equals. First of all, we the Indigenous, we are the custodians of vast resources, of land so rich and fertile, whose lands have been exploited for those same resources that have built your robust economies in the West, and yet we've had no share in that. I have previously spoken that being Indigenous is not synonymous with poverty, but it is synonymous with being rich and in harmony with nature. What we do not have is access to capital and access to market, and sometimes the know-how. But we have skills of our own. We have the means to protect the biodiversity of Earth, which is something right now an exceedingly pressing matter. For if you look at climate change, we have always been at the forefront of this. We have been the people trying to share our learnings with the West. We're the people that have the means of creating sustainable economies and societies. If only we changed our ideas and our ethics when it comes to consumerism and investments. And that is why what we are doing today with this forum is very momentous. For we are inviting you to join hands with us. We're inviting you to embark on ethical investments for what is equitable and just. We do not believe in aid, nor are we in need of saving. We, the Indigenous people, we do not need to be dependent on vampiric organizations that thrive in our dependency. Nor do we brook any more corporations who are vulture-like on our weaknesses. For we have our dreams, and we need to invest one another. We have our own vision of development. We have our own ideas of what we want to be, because development that has been previously imposed upon us has been trying to hegemonize us into a uniform way of life. But that doesn't work. For just like you, we come from different walks of life. Some of us are natives who are nomadic. Some of us are sedentary. Some of us prefer to live in the mountains or in the forests. We have our own native medicines, our own ways of healing, our own ways of communing with nature, and we have different value systems. We value wealth differently to you, but that doesn't mean we cannot learn from one another. You can teach us with your tools, those capitalist tools that you have used to build your economies. You can use them, but adapt them to social means for the greater good of communities, as we can share with you a better way of living that is more wholesome, more complete, and more in harmony with nature. What we are seeing right now in the world, we are so connected through social media, but yet we are so lacking in purpose, in identity. We are fractured as a people. We are seeking purpose in jobs. We are seeking purpose in spirituality. And that is because we are just consumers and workers. If this pandemic has taught us anything, it is the smallest amongst us, the most overlooked, that is the most prized. For if it were not for the workers toiling away, how would your economies hold up? And it's the same thing that applies to us. We are the Indigenous We are the ones in the mines. We are the ones in the fields. We are the ones producing the goods that you're consuming in the West. And that shows you that we are in a relationship with one another. Whether we understand it fully, whether we appreciate it fully, that doesn't matter. Because ultimately we are in it together. We are interconnected. And I know that right now, humanity is waking up to the realities of production and ethics and consumerism. And people no longer want to consume our misery and pain. We want to live well, and we want to prosper well. And through this forum, we're bringing together the sharpest and the finest minds, whether they are Indigenous leaders, whether they are Indigenous entrepreneurs, leaders in their own industries, bright minds, talents. We're bringing to you projects and products that before you could not have access to because of all the red tape and barriers and the third parties in between. And this is so valuable because we will be able to do equitable deals on an equal footing. And the same thing to you, my Indigenous brethren. These investors that we are gathering in our forum, these are people who have a mind for social investments, for regenerative finance, for models that are sustainable and just, for models that do not seek to exploit, but seek to consolidate, they seek to create wholesome and just means of living and prospering. For in the past, investment had a very tainted connotation. It was one person prospering at the expense of another. But here at this forum, we are establishing the new norms, the new standards in business, which is what is equitable for us and equitable for you. For we believe in you. We, the Indigenous, we believe in you, the investors, the entrepreneurs, the inventors. We believe in you and we want to reward you for that. We want you to understand that what we want is an alliance, that we may treat each other respectfully, respecting our value systems, respecting our ways of life, and dealing with one another in a way that promotes growth. And let's remember that without us, there is no future. We are the ones that are the custodians of these lands and territories. And yet, slowly, slowly, we are gaining our autonomy and our freedom. And freedom is so precious and valuable that has been given to us drop by drop. When the might of Indigenous people is unleashed, there is nothing stopping us. So now is the time for us to link hands. Now is the time for us to put aside the grief, the wounds of the past, the wounds of colonization, the wounds of interventionism, and the wounds of post-colonial oppression. It is time to put all of that aside. Put aside the bad business practices that have damaged our lands, that have privatized our assets. Now is the time for something new to grow from that. For now we are at the right time in history, when everything that has been reduced to such fragile and puerile fabrics of economy. Now is the time. We have everything in our hands. We have the prime materials. We have the means of exporting all of this to you. We can learn from you also what has been lacking. We have the right entrepreneurship that can create out of this a vision that can benefit both us and you. Thank you very much.